Hello and welcome to class. This is week 4, session 1, image editing, DES 460. Today we're just going to do an overview of week 4 and then a review, kind of continuing the same format that we usually have been. Then we'll take a break and then continue the reviews. Today, if I don't get your project in, let me know. I can also arrange to have some time tomorrow, and we can go over that at some point in the class. Let me know. Send me an email if you want to see yours, or see yours critiqued, or at least shown in the class. And send me an email, and I can arrange for that for tomorrow. But I think I got most of the ones, and we've got a pretty full number to kind of work from here today. So overall, they were pretty good. So we'll be getting to that here fairly soon. Let me first go over the announcements. Christy Paulson, Class Learning's coach, her schedule has been updated and it is available now in the announcements, accessible here. Slightly different from previous weeks, so keep that in mind. The only other thing I'll mention in the announcements is that the grading is up to date as of yesterday afternoon, about 2 o'clock. So if you've turned in something after then, it won't be graded. It won't be figured into your grade point average, or your overall grade for the class. So consider that. I'll probably do another round of grading here later today or tomorrow, and that will be updated. But now is a good time to look over your grade. Everything is all up to date as far as of yesterday. That includes daily checkpoints, etc., late work, anything like that. So anyways, that's all I have for the announcements. Welcome. Hold on. Hi, Vicki. Just trying to get the chat to pull up here.
Hello.
Welcome to class. All right. Glad to have someone in class. It's much easier to do a class with somebody in it than it is to kind of wing it and find out that, whoops, I didn't have the audio going. Anyways, glad to have you. I really haven't done much other than kind of go over the announcements and what we're going to be talking about, but it's the same as the usual format. So we'll just go ahead and start looking at the week 4 final assessment. Just going to watch. Well, it's a little bit long, but make sure that you kind of go through here, take a look at some of the examples. We can look at a couple here. Let me look at something that was more interesting. I liked the turtle one was pretty cool. So you're going to make your own Facebook hoax by compositing an image. It's just someone's turtle that they put in this scene, and you're going to make a scene like that where you're, compose something that, this is one example where we're looking at a whole scene, and there's some other things there's some other ways to approach it. For example, mutant chickens was a weird one. So, somebody just compiled all this together. I don't know where they got this image to begin with, but kind of crazy Facebook hoaxes. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. It's different, but it's fun. You can do kind of create your own alien or chicken, or you can see this guy's got a crocodile on a frog. So I'll go over this more tomorrow and put something together that's more in line with the project. But I just want to kind of touch on this, answer any questions that there might be out there. Here's another website you can go to human descent. So we've got a bunch of interesting, that's a funny one. So Photoshop gone wild, so to speak. Another frog, alligator, owl, cat. So, I think it's a good chance to have some fun kind of coming up with, there's no end. It's like you can pretty much do whatever you want. The lion squirrel is a good one. And, if you get the same lighting on the animal, you can compile those so that they look really realistic, as you can see. Now this guy, I don't know what happened to his back end, but almost seems like he needs to see the hindquarters back here to be more real, the lion squirrel, but it's just still pretty convincing. Anyway, so more inspiration at that website if you want to get some more ideas. It's surprising that some of them come out so well. I really like their cat chameleon here. But I think one of the keys to it is either being able to set up and take your own photography, or just finding something where the light really matches. Because I suppose you can do this with just stock photos, but matching the light is always a key factor in composing and compositing multiple images together. So if that light source looks like it's from a different angle, it just throws it. It doesn't work at all. And you can see that even here, the shadows work, the way that light direction is kind of bouncing off, from the sky. It's skylight essentially. It's kind of just straight overhead, maybe a little bit to the right, but for the most part straight ahead, and you see it kind of hitting the windshield of the car. We see it on all their faces. When we would expect that light source to be from that same direction on the turtle. So it is, and that's why this works. If it was over here, when they lit the turtle and shot him, took that photograph, it wouldn't look at all like it fit with this overall scene. And that's one of the things you can really notice is with the others, is that the light direction is really consistent, and that's partly what makes it work. So if you're going to be either selecting photos or you're going to actually end up shooting your own new ones, that would be a major thing to consider, is that lighting direction and where where that key light is coming from. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time kind of meshing it into your scene. And maybe if your style is a little bit more towards this one that we were just looking at, maybe you're just shooting pieces of that animal. Maybe you have a hamster, a pet rat, or something that you want to, even this here, this might be a little bit easier, like this example here with the tomato. But still, you'd have to consider, the light's coming from the front right. And when you shoot your mouth and you shoot your eyes, that light's got to be coming from that same direction as the tomato. So you'll notice that the photos will come together really quite well if you do that, if you keep that in mind. And I would think that most of you would want to shoot your own photographs as well as possibly use stock photography, but it's open. You can do whatever you want, really. I would think that most of you would want to shoot your own. I think it would probably be a little bit easier, or maybe you do a hybrid of it. Outdoor lighting, that's another thing, is the color temperature of the light. If it's if the lighting quality is indoor light and you try to shoot your hamster and then put it on like a frog outdoors, that lighting's not going to match. The color balance is going to be off. It's going to be a different intensity. So it's lighting direction is probably, in my opinion, a key one to consider, but it's also things like the color temperature. Try to make that, whatever it is that you're compositing together, try to make sure that it was shot in the same conditions And one easy way to do that is to just use outdoor lighting. So with two animals, you probably have the crocodile outdoors and the frog outdoors, kind of in the same lighting. They're not in shade. Obviously too, you've got to make sure that it aligns with, but it's, I think, selecting the right pieces and compositing them, putting them together. It's a big deal, I think, is getting the right pieces and making sure that, number one, they're in the right light, sun's coming from the right direction, etc. And also, that those pieces make sense and can be kind of meshed in with one another. Crocodile skin, reptile versus, kind of the scaly bumps on the frog. It's going to mesh together when those pieces come together. So you want to be considering things like that. A lot of what if you want to make a real looking, convincing hoax, then, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to those kind of textural qualities. I know you can do a lot with color, but with textural qualities, it's a little bit more limited. Like you almost have to kind of choose something that's going to fit with that, the body of that animal, for example. So I don't know, they used this as an example here, which was pretty good, but this is a hairless cat, and that's why his head works quite well on this kind of chameleon body. If it was a regular cat, he had fur on him, I don't think it would work so well, but these two were probably shot in a similar, maybe a flashlight lit by a flash. You can see kind of a spot reflection in the cat's eyes. So, I mean, you can also do that, studio flash, but it might be hard to find, unless you're shooting it yourself, it might be hard to find those pieces. So, the right body that has the exact same lighting as the head. So heads on bodies is kind of these examples here, but you can also do, well, this is kind of different. It's just a vegetable head. And you can also, do kind of an overall scene like this. So, whatever intrigues you, whatever you want to do, try to make it look real, and keep the lighting involved, keep the lighting in mind, probably more than anything. And then some of those other things would obviously have to consider. Texture, even color a little bit, which direction those pieces are facing. So tomorrow I'll plan to come up with my own hoax, and we'll put something together. And it's pretty straightforward. Final design should be 5x7, 300 DPI or larger, and saved as a PDF. Again, I don't mind if you submit a JPEG or a PNG really for this class, especially because we're working mostly in Photoshop. I can't imagine you would really want to work in anything but Photoshop for this final assessment. I mean, you can use all the Adobe CS or CC software you want, but probably going to be mainly in Photoshop. So I would just suggest a 300 DPI. A PDF is fine, but I think even better is a JPEG or a PNG, kind of the same things that we've been saying throughout the class. PNGs and JPEGs are just a very good format for exporting from Photoshop, better than PDF, in my opinion, most of the time. But PDF works just fine if you want to do that. So you got a few options, even though they're not listed here. So watch this video. It's a 14-minute video. I guess we won't watch it here, but we won't watch it in class, but something to consider for later. This will help out quite a bit. Pretty good little compositing video. So take a look at all these, watch this video, get some ideas, maybe sketch some things out. And maybe you want to do a couple different things and piece them together. It's really up to you, but part of the requirements, it says 3 or more photos. So I guess consider that 3 different pieces. I think heads on bodies are one way to go, but you might want to consider its environment as well, like the background or even the foreground, or think at least 3 different photos in the composition. And a lot of times it'll be more than that, because you'll be compiling arms or legs or fingers or whatever your scene is. You'll be kind of working with a number of different photos. So it says 3 or more, but I would think you would have 3 easily. So that's, it's pretty straightforward, I think. I've said everything. Like I say, I'll come up with my own tomorrow. Do you have any questions, Vicki, on the final?
No, actually, I did a couple, then I think I need to redo them. Now that I read it again, we need 3 or more photos.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks to make it really convincing.
Right.
I think that's what people find. So don't be surprised if you think that this is going to look great and you actually start putting the pieces together and it doesn't look that good. That's really common, actually. I've gone through that many times. A lot of people do. Because it's really, really tough to get that lighting and that texture and the color and, the angle, another important one, just right. It's really hard to get that.
Right.
So if at first you don't succeed, try again. I think is the moral of the story.
Okay.
Yeah, you might do several. This guy, you can tell if you look at this closely, there's kind of some issues around here, around the mouth, but all he really did was take the mouth of the crocodile, probably shrunk it down.
You kind of blended it.
Yeah, and he's just blending it into the frog's pattern, like putting this black stripe right here that kind of continues along the side of his body. I don't know, it's a good example. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if most of you had to do a couple of takes at it and maybe hand in your best one.
Okay.
It's a little bit harder than it looks, I think.
Right. Okay.
So let's go ahead and go over some reviews here. Let's see. Yeah, the only other thing I should mention for week 4, and I'm supposed to mention this, the other thing, and I'll just say it, it's the career, well, let's go into this. We'll look at it. So career integration, 3 questions. Think 50 words for each one, 3 sentences on each of the 3 questions. That's worth 15 points. If you answer all 3, think about, just support the questions with examples. The how and why is important, especially the why here. Make sure it's not just a 1 or 2 word answer. You get some credit for that, but you wouldn't get the whole credit. Make sure it's a paragraph talking about why you got the value from the readings and what you found the most valuable, and specifically spell it out in the 50 words or so. And that's what you'd be looking at, 15 points on this last thing. And you also, from what I understand, you also get to fill out kind of a separate thing where you can rate the course. So this is kind of what I grade, but you can also fill out, I believe it's optional, but rate the course where it's not. where it's anonymous, so I don't see what it is that's said. But this particular one is part of your grade, so simple enough. It's worth 15 points. We still like to collect that feedback, so make sure you don't forget about the career integration. Okay, now let's go over the work from last week. Some really cool posters. It's great. A lot of people got really into this. I can, as I said earlier, if you have a project you want me to go over and I missed it here, I think I got most of the ones that were handed in on time. If I missed yours and you want to see it, it shouldn't be a problem. Just try to send me an email, let me know that, preferably within a few hours of tomorrow's class, and I can make sure we can go over it. But we're going to cover a bunch of them today. So we'll be kind of brief about it. We'll go through kind of fast. On some of these, I just kind of mix the both the assignment and the assessment together. So they're just, we're going to look at a bunch of these. And then this one I know was based on another one, but she changed it up quite a bit. And I liked her take on it. I thought these characters were definitely appealing. They got your attention. I think they're cute. They're kind of different, but they get your attention. And I like the way that she laid them out on the grid with all the colors. And we've got this centerpiece here that kind of draws us in. So I really do like how she put this together. I think it came out well. And I did mention too, like one of the only things was just getting a little bit more tight, so there's no, tell he was originally on a white background. Using refine edge and sometimes you have to go in manually, sometimes you have to go in and kind of cut into that shape a little bit more. But make sure you can't really see any of the white pixels around the edge on these. That would be, some of them are a little bit better than others. Like this one, she did pretty good as far as cutting out all the, all around the edges, which can be hard. It can take some work, but here's another trick. Even if there's a lot of different tricks to this, it's not just the Photoshop standard tools that you can use. You can do stuff like this. So I'm just going to take this, and then I know I have this side with all the details. So that's pretty good. I'd say that's good enough for this case. But see how I just took this off. Now I can flip horizontal and bring it over here. But in this case, you can see the lighting is an issue. So I'd have to go into levels, and then another thing we can play around with if it works. A little bit of a, so anyways, you can get creative with some of these effects and how you approach it. Just because Photoshop doesn't have, just because the tools aren't quite right, there's always kind of another take that you can have. You can try other things out. So, I don't know, hopefully that kind of explains my point. I know that's not fitting perfectly, but as long as we don't go too far, 10% is always kind of a general rule. You can enlarge it by just dragging the handle like that. So, I don't know, this is just levels. If you prefer curves, you can work in curves. There's a little bit more control in curves, but levels is good if you just want to quickly kind of adjust something. So that's another way that you could go about it. Now there's a lot of white in there. So, you know, again, I'd have to go in here. I could, you know, on this little piece, I'm going to be doing a lot of piece compositing, cutting and pasting little pieces. Here I just used the magic wand, and maybe what I could do here, this is another thing I could do, go, instead of refine edge, maybe, how about I expand that? Let's see, maybe 5 pixels. We can take all that off, and well, I could do a really quick version of editing and just hit delete. I'm trying to see if that takes care of the white. No, it didn't end up looking great, but well, that didn't turn out to be a great example, but just know that you can do other things if, you know, such as that, and kind of moving pieces. I mean, originally what she had, it looks better, but, you know, you'll probably, when you're compositing these hoaxes in the last week, you're going to want to use a lot of little bits and pieces like that. So just so you know, it's sort of when I've done it, it's a common thing that I end up doing, is just cutting out little pieces from other parts of the character's body and then molding them onto various places on the character I'm working on. So that's one method of going about it. I'll probably do that many times tomorrow, but that's something you can do, especially when, you know, refine edge, or sometimes you notice it doesn't quite pick up the hairs very well, the fine hairs, or, you know, there are many methods than just the basic Photoshop tools that you probably want to end up using. So anyways, I liked how this turned out. It's cute, it's funny, it's clever. I like the arrangement and the grid here, and it's kind of this Brady Bunch layout. It works pretty well. I think you definitely are drawn to this one. Nice work on that. Let's see. Fish out of water. This one was kind of cool. I was thinking, like, now I can't do this easily because this isn't a layered file, but it'd be interesting to look at. I like the bubbles, and they kind of look like clouds. It might be interesting to see, for example, if this was a sky with clouds, because it looks like he's floating in water, but maybe you could try things like clouds in the background with like a seafloor down here, so it kind of puts it in perspective, except it's sky up here. So I like this. I think it works as it is, but I was recommending some other things that she could try in regard to that, like try to bring him really out of water. Because right now I'm kind of like going, all right, is he in water or out of water? And he's fish out of water. So I'm wondering, and I'd almost, you know, I'd really have to see it to see if that really gets the point across the way that you want to. Because this is my story of how I came to know my weirdness and learn how to embrace it. So good, you know, tagline here. I mean, how could we even more enhance that concept? Although I think it works, I think it's good. I'm just saying I'd like to see some other treatments of this, maybe against the sky, maybe with the seafloor down here, maybe with some other fish in the background. But not necessarily. I just think this is good. Could it be better? Fish out of water. When you think of in the title, a lot of times those less significant words, you can shrink them down a little bit more. So of isn't the same size as fish out. Of can be smaller, and then water. And it'll look a little bit more like intentionally composed because you're not putting so much emphasis on that word of that's on its own line. So that's another thing you could probably do is just move that down. Of water, fish out of water. But I kind of like that stacking in this case. I kind of do like that. But of is kind of a minor word, and it's emphasized a lot because it's on its own line. So I might consider working with that a little more. I like the really tight kerning tracking here. The letters almost fit together, so did a good job on that one, The Tale of Weirdness. And we got the right font down here, the steel tongues, got the PG rating, so great. I think she did a great job on this. All right, let's go. No, that's not the right one. Maybe we'll find the right one. All right, let's come back to that one. We'll take a look at Vicky's here. So cool, Vicky. This turned out scary. You did a good job with that.
Thank you.
That's yours. That's I remember you also showed, and I hope I downloaded it.
The original.
Yeah, the original. So I was gonna compare those. There we go. That's the other one. Some really good ones. People got into this. That was your other one.
Yeah.
I didn't download the original on that one. Oh well.
Just called The Return.
I remember liking yours at least as much as that original though, so good job on.
The other one, it was hard to tell what it was.
Yeah. Did it have the handprint in the eye?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That's a nice effect. Very creepy, very scary. Gets the point across. Like the past never dies; it kills. So that's. I like the blur on this text. But yeah, I'm kind of wishing I would have downloaded the original so we could compare it. But I didn't do that with all of them. I got a couple of them. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
I have a lot of textures, like probably 3 or 4 different layers of textures in there. It took a lot of work. I put a lot of work in there. I think I should have made the credits a little bit darker. It's hard to read the credits.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely.
That's my only thing I noticed. It's kind of hard to read it. Maybe I should have made it a little darker gray.
Yeah, definitely. You got the right font though, but yeah, you can't read it. So that's always a thing. Always be able to read the text. I'm surprised I didn't even comment on that. I just think I was looking at
maybe even make it black. I don't know. I don't know.
Like I wouldn't let it interfere with your title, but probably like a dark gray, like you were saying, might be good. So you might, if this was, I can see what you're doing or what you're thinking here in terms of if this is the black or as dark as it is, if this is also black, these will compete, and you'll just have kind of a jumble of things going on.
Right.
So you can emphasize the turn. You could either make this bigger, blacker, make this kind of a dark gray down here, but at least be able to read it. Right now it is the same color as that background. Yeah, you're right. I'm surprised I didn't even mention it myself, but I really do like the way that that title kind of pops out down there, and that adding those credits is going to interfere with that a little bit. So you're probably going to have to move some other things or adjust some other things, you know, in order to kind of compensate for that. But, you know, I think you did a good job putting this together. I like the textures in here. I could tell, you know, all of this is really good. It really lends to it, all the texture we're seeing in here. It's a nice composition.
Thank you. My dog's barking. I'm trying.
Oh, yeah. It's all right. Let's, okay, we'll move on. We could maybe do your other one or wait till your dog's not barking. We'll come back. Let's do this one since I found this. Okay, doesn't want to open up. Fun moms, bad moms. I kind of liked her, kind of the triangular arrangement here a little bit more than this one. But yeah, I think both are good. I liked her font a little bit better. This one works. It's really that thick. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing this font but a little bit thicker. I do like the thickness, but I like the kind of the serifs on this one, kind of those pointed serifs. That's kind of a, I'd say a little bit more fun of a font. So she chose well on that. And I composited this pretty well overall. Again, we're looking at, it's a little bit hard to see here, even though it is on the original. Probably want to enhance it a little bit more so you can see the credits. They kind of did that going on with this, but it's funny because you can see countless things that just aren't done quite right in the real world. And, you know, I think, again, even here, like if you're struggling to read what this says, you know, you should adjust that. But a lot of times they'll make, designers will make decisions or have pressure on them to make decisions where, again, you want it to be readable, but you don't want it to call too much attention to itself. And this, you know, you can hardly read it. So you find mistakes in the real world all the time, but doesn't mean you should make mistakes. You can do better. It's really common, actually, to find mistakes out there on different projects.
The other thing you were talking about is shadows. Like the three women have different shadows on them.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Lighting.
if you look at the original poster, so do they. You know, they have different shadows on them as well.
Yeah.
So
Not the most ideal.
no, it's not the best poster. Huh.
Yeah, it sells it enough that it works, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a distraction, especially if you point it out and really look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So the three, they may not have necessarily intended to be together, but yeah, the light's coming from the right on her, and then from the left on her, and from the left.
Right.
So yeah, would it harmonize a lot better? Oh, absolutely. If that light was all the same on all of them. But is it always possible? Not always. So something that you'd have to consider. This too, like, again, she's got a centered layout here. You want to center these names up at the top. Kind of minor thing, but yeah, that adds up. Like, you can tell that's a mistake. So this would benefit from being over, lined up with that, and then kind of balanced out in the middle. Kind of like these. Another thing, if you notice, they do for names, bold or black font for their last name. Kind of make it easier to read, maybe kind of a buzzword. So she kind of did that a little bit here, it looks like, too. But that's one of the advantages that this person has with this font. They have an extreme, like a lot of times it's called a black. So it's just one step or a few steps sometimes beyond the bold weight. So they're really, really thick. And that's what this person seems to be taking advantage of here. You get that more contrast that isn't quite in this font here. And although I like the personality of this font, you know, that's one thing where you can tell this really has that emphasis, whereas this font, this typeface doesn't. So just some minor things. I think overall, she did a really good job putting this together. Again, I like the head overlapping, the title, that kind of brings it together quite a bit more. They did that here as well. But I like the different levels. It's more visually interesting to look at, in my opinion. The kind of triangular, the heads are at different levels, and they kind of have a little bit, they're just slightly more interesting than just straight across all the way. So I kind of like how she arranged that and kind of gave her that center emphasis. The other thing that's a little weird is like her head is larger slightly, but she's the farthest one back. So there's a little bit of I almost want them to be
depth issues, right?
So just a few little things to consider. I mean, I don't mean to be picking on her project or anything, but that's just, you know, ways that we could consider improving it, things to think about for week 4. You know, if you're looking at depth, the farther image, the farthest object is going to be smallest, right? So if you're looking at depth again, the closer images are overlapping at farthest. So we're giving these depth cues kind of a little bit in reverse, I guess, is from what they should be. So she would normally be a little smaller, but I think you wanted her to have the emphasis. So I think the way I would probably fix that is just to make them a little bit larger. And if it's 10% enlargement, you're fine. You can do 10%. I start to get a little nervous beyond 10% as far as how those pixels are starting to get distorted, how those lines are starting to get blurry, you know, crisp edges start to soften, get that pixelation effect. But if it's more than 10%, you know, start looking at it really closely. And even, you know, if you're blowing up images 10%, that's, you know, I'm not just saying that you can do that every time, especially it depends on if you know, what image you're working with, but it's kind of a good rule of thumb that I've always gone by. You know, you can generally blow that image up 10% and not have it be too affected in terms of, you know, pixelating. But it goes beyond that, and you know, it can get out of hand pretty fast. So anyway, some things on this one. Good work on this. All right, some of these should not be in here. I'm gonna put that one in there anyway. All right, Vicky, since you're in class, why don't we go over your other one here?
There's some nice ones in there.
There is, yeah. People really got into this. So, another good composition. This one was freaky because at first you just look at this and it seems like a texture back there. And then you see his face. It's like,
Yeah.
silence becomes fear. It's good composition on that one. Did you take this from another one, or
No.
just made that up?
Yeah, I just found this picture and went with the picture, and
Very effective.
found the image of some man, and he was really creepy looking. And so I have a lot of textures back there as well.
Yeah, it turned out great. It definitely gets your attention. It's I don't know. I hope this comes across so people can see it. On Zoom, you can see.
Can you see in the very corner there's a skull as well?
Right here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you didn't even need it. I think you just keep this creepy guy back there, and definitely,
Yeah.
it really adds dimension to it. Just that alone, and her face and her eyes looking at you directly, really dark. It was on the white face, really like pulls you in. So I think you did a really good job on this. So,
I think the font, I really enjoyed playing with font too. It takes me a long time trying to find a good font and figuring out the hierarchy as far as placement and how to make it look good.
it looks great. I love it. I love your arrangement of the the way you've got kind of this moving. It almost has like a motion effect when you look at it. This is large, this is really small, and this is kind of medium. That arrangement looks good. There's a dynamic to it that works really well. The choice of the font is good. It works. Do you know what the name of this font is?
I believe it's it's just something regular, just a something that we all have. I forgot.
Okay. It works though. It works really well. It might be Garamond or.
Yeah. Now my subtitle. Do you think it should be bigger? Breaking the silence could lead to death.
It could be.
Back and forth. I kept thinking that should be bigger. I don't know.
It could be. Although, you might be able to make it 1 or 2 points bigger before it sticks out too far over here and calls attention to itself.
I think that's my only downfall. I was thinking about putting it into 2 lines, or I don't know I wasn't sure what to do with that. So I didn't want to take away from the title.
Yeah, I think it works as it is. You could try some things out, like maybe a couple points larger. But yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want to take away from the title either. And it kind of it sits there pretty well right now. You just have to, I think, maybe. I don't know. I think it works for me as it is. Breaking the silence could lead to death. You could just say silence could lead to death, and then you can make it a little larger.
Yeah.
Fewer words.
Breaking. Yeah.
or figure out it could be like that, or it could be just fewer words. Figure out how you can make it fewer words, and then you can make it larger. So
Right.
fits in there. I like too how up here, it balances with this guy in the background. Like, definitely see this character, his face in the background with that title. I mean, it works because, like, if you're looking at it at first, it's like there's just texture, but oh wait, that's not texture. There's this big area over here, so shouldn't this be centered? But no, not really. I don't think it needs to be centered at all. And it adds with him back there. He's a very strong visual element, I think, because like you say, he's just creepy, and you see him second, it spooks you when you look at it. So I think it definitely sells this kind of horror movie here.
Cool. Good.
Great job on it.
Thank you.
I think too, this is just like another suggestion, and I don't know if maybe some transparency in silence becomes fear, like it's floating, or it's like a whisper, or kind of smoky, or something. Maybe something to try with that.
Okay.
But it also works really well, and you can read it really well. So it's up to you. I think it works. It's just.
I was using a little bit of smoke brushing a little bit.
Yeah.
I did. I was going to go up to the
down here it looks
title.
Smoky.
Yeah. That's where I put it, down there. I had some smoke brushing down below.
Looks good.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing that I might even suggest on this. It's very well compiled, in my opinion, the way that you kind of weaved all this together. So,
okay. Thank you.
All right, maybe we'll look at one more and then go on break. Kelly Manillo's project.
I like that one.
I like it too. You know what I mentioned on this one was the idea of I like the mystery, but it just needs one more thing. Like even the face reflecting in the glass, or something really subtle, or just like
something to draw interest of some sort.
Yeah, it's to draw interest and to just kind of describe exactly what's going on a little more. Because Dare to be Dared, I'm not sure what it's about at this point. It's like I almost don't have enough. Mystery is good, but I want a little bit more information before it's gonna, pull me in to want to see it.
Okay.
So can you do the unthinkable? Maybe that could be. Well, we could have a question mark, or maybe not necessarily. It's a question, but
is it like what kind of movie is it? Is it like
I'm kind of picturing like a Blair Witch Project, or and I'm not really sure, but something where they're
some sort of reflection in the glass would be really cool. Yeah.
And yeah, that was my idea, so we could get a little bit more of a sense of what exactly this movie's about. But it's interesting. I like that lens is kind of creepy, just looking at you. This, but Dare to be Dared. Maybe I don't know what it
Are we daring ourselves to be?
Yeah, exactly. Are we daring ourselves to go on camera? I'm not really sure. But I was thinking it was kind of a Blair Witch Project where they were using cameras or something.
Yeah, it needs a little bit more information, like you said. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I like it. I think
I like the layout and the font, and the color choice is really good.
Yeah. I think she's nailed it on a lot of those areas, and it's a really good start. Just yeah, that one thing. Give me that one more little thing that sells me that.
One more element.
Yeah, what exactly is this? Otherwise, yeah, I could work on it. I do like the layout and the colors and it's definitely got a feel to it, but a little more info. So unwanted.
This is
Unwanted, unloved. I forgot. I thought this was actually pretty good.
Is this a copy of somebody else's or another story? Another.
This is actually I graded this for his main project or for his assignment. So I like it. I like what he's got going. I think maybe if you look at credits, they're pretty much always going to be
At the bottom.
bottom, not up here. This would be the place for a tagline or to sell it a little bit more. Good photo, good choice of images. It's a good idea that he's put together here. I think the hair is a little bit foggy around the edge. You could work on that hair a little bit more. But I think I like the image.
I think he needs more contrast. I think she's the only contrast on there. If he added more contrast, like where the trees are as well, or something else.
Let's try it.
It needs more darkness somewhere else.
He's kind of got it down here. I'm just gonna go burn tool. So you can kind of blend it a little here. It's not looking like a very hopeful story. I think what he wants to, I think, preserve, the triumph, but it's kind of a very sad image, and that's I'm guessing maybe what he's going for, but it might need that little spark of hope,
right.
If it's a story of triumph. Because right here we're just seeing the downside of it all, which is usually 99 times out of 100, you don't want to sell something on kind of the downside or the sad or the negative, or you want a little bit more of a kind of an uplifting story to it. So I like the imagery, but it's like, I almost want to think, is this a horror movie? Well, in a way, but the challenge is you always going to have to figure out how to show kind of the upside of it. If it's a triumphant story,
maybe it needs color.
Color would be a good suggestion. Yeah, that would help. And see, I'm not really doing enough to really. I mean, I'm making it look even more kind of depressing with adding this black in here.
Yeah.
Burning it. So that's not really the key, but yeah, it's like we can show something sad, but even you're right, if it is in color, that can help kind of take the tale and put a spin on it so that it's a triumph story rather than a depressing kind of or horror story. Because now it's with the black and white, it's almost like you get that feeling that it's almost a horror movie.
It does look like it.
So I do like his concept, but it's just mainly that think of a way. I like your point, Vicky, as far as adding color. And I don't know if he has these images available in color to work with them, but Yeah, it does really need something to show that triumph or that hope, or and even if it's not a composited thing, but it's like here's her one story, but then it shows her afterwards, like smiling or something, or she's like holding up a something like a plaque or something.
I think if the character, she and her bear, was in color while the back was all gray, that would just tell the story itself.
Good, yeah, you're right. And again, I'd have to see that because sometimes that looks like it's too placed in the
Right.
image, but that could be yeah, you're right, a good take on this. Especially maybe if she had like a red shirt and a pink bear or something, that, or a red shirt and a white bear, and it really like
Stood out. I don't know.
kind of popped off the background. But I do like that, and maybe he does have access to this color, but if not,
I do like it. I do like it.
yeah,
I like the layout is very nice.
I think so too. I think he did a good job with the layout. Um, I think just a few of these things, and then let's see like what a little bit of color does on this. I was thinking red, maybe this color red. Now it's not looking quite what I was after yet. But. Well, I don't know. We're starting to see a little bit.
Gives you an idea.
Yeah. I was thinking a white bear. I don't know what color he is in real life, but you can always change those things in Photoshop. Maybe I'll just paint in like a. So I guess, if you did some sort of artificial treatment, and that could work, something like that, even if you didn't have the color photos.
Right.
It's starting to a little bit. It's not quite, in my opinion. Now it's looking a little better.
Hmm.
I mean, I did that pretty quick. It's still horror movie-ish. But I think we're getting along the right tracks, and that's just what you have to do, is play with it and try to.
Well, you're trying to tell a story, and so
Exactly. I mean, what is it that works with this? What are we trying to say in the story? We don't want it to look like a horror movie. We don't want to depress people. We want to let people know it's maybe a sad story that has a happy ending or a twist, especially if it's a foster child story of triumph. The only other thing is let's see. I have.
see, like in the background, be like a light at the end of the tunnel, kind of thing. I don't know.
And you can even do stuff like this, and this is a really kind of a hokey, quick example. But if we said, all right, so this is the foster child, and she grew up, and we can do again 10% up right there, and we can end up. Now that doesn't look so great, but you put that with the tale of how I went from here to here, somewhere
Mhm.
you write up. And maybe we put the write up here, and then we put, of course, these credits down here. But, you can do stuff like that to sort of lift us up from just the downside.
Right.
Even if you don't have those photos, there's always kind of a way to tell that story somehow. So that was a really last minute idea. I don't know if that illustrates the point really well, but you can kind of see we can do stuff here to show triumph, even if we're not able to mesh this photo just perfectly, because that can become a hang up if you have to mesh together photos that you don't have. You don't have the lighting and you don't have the characters that you need or something. You can always come up with some sort of creative solution to tell the story. So if we're talking about before and after, and she almost looks, we put her into this context, and this person almost looks like, that she came from humble beginnings, and this is her afterwards.
Right.
You can see how we're kind of doing that, telling the story in that way. So,
It works.
Hopefully that shows some ideas, things that you could do. You were saying light at the end of the tunnel. I almost thought this was kind of neat with this line takes you back here, and then there's this character back here, or this person walking. It's almost spooky again.
Right.
And it's very like an ominous kind of scene.
It is. It looks like a scary movie.
It looks like a scary movie. Like the reason we see him is because that line goes right back here.
Right.
We see this figure in the background. It was like when I looked at yours, I was looking at the character, and then saw wait a minute, those are eyes back there. So it kind of hits you later, which is it's great when you're trying to scare someone and do like a treatment, like where it's a horror movie, that you're trying to do that. But if you're not going for that, it can do work against us. So anyhow, hope that tells the story. All right, maybe I said one more. There's a couple more actually we could look at. Need to edit these a little bit better. We'll do that on a break. Now let's take a look at this one. Adam Blackwell. Pretty cool, I think. Nice composition. I think he did a great job of putting all the typography down here together. Looks very authentic. I mean, really good. He's got the Tom Hardy and Mark Wahlberg kind of. He's got that treatment of the for the emphasis where we were looking at that poster before.
The black and the white, or the
he's doing it with red. He's doing it with the red.
Right. That's
good. A lot of times, those character names, if you can emphasize them in a way like that. I might not emphasize but that would be my choice, because this will make Mark.
And he used a slight gradients on the title.
Yeah, looks good.
Looks good.
This character here, I like it's almost like the camouflage kind of feel to it going on back here. Really nicely done, I thought. So good work on this. I like
very good.
I think I guess this is like the camouflage. I almost like it. I like the way that it sort of mimics the typefaces that he used in this. The way that they're just blocky and just straight. So I don't know. I like it. I like what
he did a great job.
Yeah, he did. Very good. Even all the logos down here. Most people forgot to put those in, or just it didn't really bother, and I didn't take anything off if he didn't, of course, but I do like the way that he added those.
It looks complete.
It
I
does. It
like
looks more real.
if he would have put the title up top, it would have took away from the structure of the,
Yep.
of the blocks and stuff. So I think he did a great job.
Good point, Vicky. Definitely. Yeah, it's like this kind of triangular thing where this is the base of the triangle, the title. So that's, yeah, really good. So I don't really have much to even criticize on this. I don't know. I kind of like look at this and think, well, why aren't those lined up? But if they're camouflage, they wouldn't necessarily be. I kind of want to see a version of this lined up, but it adds a little bit of drama up here that I kind of like as well. So, probably it isn't the better call. It's good how it is. But, yeah, overall, great job on this. I don't really have anything that I'd say that was needed to be improved, or everything is quite good.
Yeah,
Character names. I like when I like the way that he kind of emphasized those with how they do that a lot. We'll probably see more examples of that. But first name, last name, those names are a big deal when they. Mark Wahlberg, Tom Hardy, a big deal on these titles, and yeah, they do want to emphasize those. Any kind of subtle thing, it may not seem much, but the fact that those change color or they change emphasis, you're really going to draw attention to that. That's another way that you can simply draw attention to those names by just changing color or weight. Size sometimes might not be as common in this case, but
I like the contrast in fonts from the title and the subtitle, from the sans serif to serif.
yeah.
That's traditional, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's. You'll see it in both. Kind of like sans serif for the title, and then body fonts would be the serifs. That would be traditional, but it's not really that way. That's kind of debatable as to whether that's the best way to go about it.
Okay.
So it's you can. I mean, it's fine to switch that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do like this. It's taking the fight to the enemy. So it's even got some texture on this, it looks like. Or he's got kind of that broken line in there, which I'm not sure if I think he probably did that. Doesn't seem like it would be part of the font. Looks like he did that. So added another nice touch in that tagline there. So yeah, good point, Vicky. Black and white, very effective. Now, if this was color, black and white and red is a really good attention-grabbing color scheme. So if we were looking at color back here, it would definitely detract from the power of this. So this is really well done. Any other comments on this one?
No, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those I can't really think of anything to add to it. It's just very well done. All right, let's do a break because we are kind of well beyond the time frame here. We like to take breaks around 3, give or take, and now we're 3:15, so
Okay.
let's do 10 minutes and return at 3:25.
Okay.